Awesome. Hi, everybody. My name is Janae Bennett, and I am the Dallas Pets Alive foster director. We are a 100% foster-based animal rescue. We don't have a shelter or kennel or anything like that. We started out as a dog rescue, and then a couple years in, someone convinced our executive director to bring in a TNR mama with her kittens, and the rest was history. During kitten season, we typically have more foster cats and kittens than dogs, which is crazy. And we have seen a higher need for behavior support for our fosters. And that's why we got Molly looped in. And then this webinar was a little pop-up for our scaredy cat fosters. We've had a lot of scaredy cat fosters, which is great that they're making it out of the shelters. And now we need to get them some support in their foster homes. And these are my 3 foster kittens. I have 5 foster cats right now, 2 adults. None of them are scaredy besides this one. He hates me, but we're working on it. And I'm super excited for our fosters to get wonderful support from Molly today.
Yeah, this is exciting. I like this where we can get on and it's not quite so, I'm presenting to you, although I love to do that too. But I think the live interaction and watching examples and talking about stuff is really, really important. And thank you. I mean, we got a good crowd today, and all of you are fostering, and that's just awesome. I mean, that's how we save lives, right? Is fostering. So thank you for fostering, and thank you for being here today. I hope you learned something. I think you will. And I wanted to start, before we start just jumping into the videos and things like that, I want to talk about, a lot of times people will say to me, I've got this really shy cat, and then they'll send me pictures and videos, and I'm like, that's not shy, because because we deal with the pretty aggressive cats in the shelter and in the programs that we're working on. In fact, if you haven't, go out and check felinerightAtHome.com. And that is a free to shelters and rescues behavior modification program. And check that out. That's if you don't already know about that, check that out. So I want to start with what does a shy cat look like? All right. How do we define a shy cat? And I want to show you how I define it. So in our programs, I always think it's real important that we not label cats. We actually don't call them shy or aggressive or mean or things like that, because it doesn't really tell me anything. Like I said, some people tell me I have a shy cat, and I look at it and I go, that wouldn't be, because in my mind, I'm putting a stress score to it. And I think it's important because we all want to judge every cat objectively. And so if we're all on the same page about what stress level that cat is really at, then that helps the cat, and it helps you to know how to interact with that cat. So I use this. This is a Kessler and Turner modified cat stress score chart, and it goes from 1 to 6. So 1, of course, being the most relaxed, and you can see the body postures here. These are probably not the cats we're talking about today. And then a level 2 cat is a cat that's relaxed and pretty trusting and pretty confident, but, kind of wants to check you out first before it allows you to pet it. Wary. We'll call them wary. All right. Now, when we get to the level 3, this would be what I would call a shy cat, right? They're on edge. They're in this kind of loafish position. They get in this loaf position so that they can run quickly, and they're not sure about their environment or the people, and they want to be able to leave quick. So they're not laying on their side like we're seeing in one with their legs out. This guy couldn't jump up and run quick if something scary happened. This one's a little more relaxed, but this guy's like, and probably recoiling from you. And if you pick it up, it's going to be real squirmy and not want to be interacting. And then the next level is what we call a 4. These are the guys that are a bit anxious. Their stress, everybody manifests stress differently. Every being, even us. Some people, when they're under a lot of stress, they get depressed. Other people get really anxious and redirect that stress onto the people and things around them. And that's kind of what the CSS4 is. They present as a bit overstimulated. They move around a lot. They're trying to escape. They're just really, really tense. And they're on alert, but they really don't want you to interact with them. They might let you pet them once or twice, and then you pet down the back and it's just more than they can stand. They turn around and bite you. So these guys too fall in that, I think, shy category. They just manifesting stress a little differently. And then we have the last 2 levels, the stress levels 5 and 6. And here's where they're super shy, on the point of shutting down. They may react aggressively if you get too in their space. This is where you might start to see them lashing out, hissing, swatting, that kind of thing. They may be feigning sleep, like this illustration here. They may be in a tight ball, like trying to make you go away and motionless, hoping you won't see them. And then our most stressed cats are very aggressive, defensive aggression, very frightened, just scared out of their minds and probably actively attacking you. You probably don't have any of these hopefully you don't have any of those in foster care. If you want me to email you that cat chart, you can email me asking me for the cat stress score. And I will be happy to send it to you. And my email is molly@catbehaviorsolutions.org or molly@cattalkradio.com. So I'm going to just show you some pictures of stressed cats, shy cats, so that you get the idea of what these guys look like. So see the loaf position, tail's tightly tucked. You've got dilated eyes. The head is usually lower than the plane of the body. So this cat is shy, unsure. I'm going to show you another one here, another couple ones of these. And differing levels of shy. Hold on. Here's another one. You can see now the ears. This one's a little more stressed. Ears are out to the side, eyes still dilated, rump towards you, not wanting to interact clearly. Here is another one.
Gracie, you okay, sweetie pie?
There we go. So see this poor guy, isn't it cute? Little black nose, ears fully down, very tight. I mean, tail is tucked under, eyes are squinted shut. And here is another. This one is just too adorable, actually. This was a cat at Dallas Animal Services trying to hide in the box. We'll talk about boxes too here in a minute. Trying to hide in the box and not be seen. And then, it says my mouse batteries are low. Really? Now you have to be low now? And this is also a shy cat. Those of you at Albuquerque Animal Welfare that volunteer at the East Side, especially in the Frady Cat program, you might remember this cat. This was, I think the cat's name Is it Rory? I think this might have been Rory. So I want you to know that even though this cat looks like a CSS6 on the chart, but the cat is hissing and charging the door and that kind of thing, these cats that are in this shy cat category develop what we call learned behaviors. When they figure out that a hiss makes people go away, then they do it more. And so we tend to respond, right? We say, well, oh my gosh, you're really stressed. You're hissing. I'll just get out of your space. Well, it's right to honor the cat's feelings, but if we respond like that to the hissing, then it is going to make them know that that worked and they'll actually do more of it. So in behavior and in training cats, we say the behaviors that you pay attention to will increase. The behaviors that you ignore fade. So when a cat is hissing at you and acting like this cat looks, it's very important that you acknowledge that the cat is highly stressed, but don't back away. Stay right there, long as you're at a striking range, of course. Stay right there until the cat calms down a little bit. And then when you start seeing that cat calm down, then you back away. And then we're teaching them that learned behavior doesn't work. That what works is when you are calm, we back away. Because in this case, us leaving is what they want. So we're rewarding them by leaving. So be careful what you leave to. And of course, we are like, we're like, but I just want to love you and take care of you. And I don't understand why you're so upset with me. That's how we feel. We feel like, you know, we don't understand why the cats don't get that we're trying to take care of them and we're trying to love them, and why, you know, why aren't they appreciative and why don't they see that? So let's talk about why these cats are shy. And I also want to talk about expectations. So cats can be shy for a lot of different reasons. I think it was Janae that, or maybe it was Deirdre, or it might have been both of you that were talking about you have a litter of kittens you're fostering and one of them is really shy and the others are all social. Well, why is that? It could be that litters can have different fathers, and a cat gets most of its behavior, personality from its father. So it could be that it had a different father than the other kittens in the litter. Other reasons that adult cats are shy and scared is cats have that sensitive development window, and it's between 3 and 7 weeks of age. So if that cat was a stray cat at that time, or if it was fostered by somebody that, you know, wasn't interactive with it, if it didn't have any exposure to human socialization from 3 weeks to 7 weeks of age, then it can be very fearful of humans as an adult. A lot of times we don't know what our cat's histories are, especially if it's a stray cat or it's an owner surrender, and we don't know what happened to it. So it could be that these are just new experiences for them, novel experiences that they really have to learn from scratch. It could also be that the cat's suffering from trauma, and that could be trauma, you know, think about what happens to a cat when it comes into our care. It goes right to a medical office. First, it's in this wildly unfamiliar environment that smells weird. It goes to a vet, could have some medical trauma. A lot of times they come in sick or injured, and they spend a long time in the clinic before they ever get to us in foster care. So it could have trauma. It could have been abused in the past. It could be neglected in the past. It could have very traumatic, negative feelings attached to people, just in general. that we have to overcome, and we have to teach them to relearn that. We've also got to remember that cats, just by nature, are highly territorial. They like a space. They like to be in a space and settle in. They're not adventurous like dogs for the most part, not by nature. And so when we take them out of their territory, wherever that may be, it could even be a kennel in a shelter. And again, you think, well, why aren't you appreciating it? I've got you at home. You're out of that kennel in the shelter. But that kennel had become territory, that cat's territory. It smelled like them. It was familiar. Things were predictable. It was in control there. Now it's in a whole new environment. So that too can make a cat very shy and shut down. It's very important to remember the 3-3-3 rule. Any cat in a new environment is going to take 3 days to come out of shell shock, 3 weeks to kind of learn what the environment's routines and things are, and up to 3 months to really begin to settle in and trust and show their true personality and potential. So a lot of times when fosters say, well, gosh, I've had them for 2 weeks and I'm still not able to touch them. It's like, well, give them some time, because that 3-3-3 rule is probably the general rule for an average, well-feeling cat, a cat that's more confident. Whereas if we've got cats with trauma or no human socialization in their social development period, or any number of things in their past, that's going to even take longer than the 3-3-3. So make sure that your expectations are real and you're not setting yourself up for frustration. It's important that we stay hopeful and focused on helping the cat. And then I wanted to talk about everything we're going to talk about today. The kittens, all your kittens. So we have both shy kittens and we have shy adult cats. The kittens I like to handle a little more frequently than the adult cats. I mean, first of all, it's safer, right? I can burrito a kitten if I need to. I wrap a blanket around it and remain safe. I can't always do that with an adult cat, and it's a little more invasive to an adult cat to do that than it is to a kitten. That kitten is probably still within that window of social development, and you want to handle it a lot and you want other people to handle it. And so I say go faster with kittens than with adult cats, right? We always want to respect what we call behavior threshold. So behavior threshold is that point that you can get to a cat, that proximity or that interaction that is like right before that cat just loses it, right? So we want to respect that behavior threshold. We always want to be operating just this side of that behavior threshold. But with kittens, we want to get them and hold them and make sure good things are happening, right? So let's talk about the setup. How do you, I'm going to change my mouse batteries while I'm talking so they don't go out when I need to show you videos here in a minute. How should you set up your foster area? We want to make sure that they have space, but not too much space. It's very important that they're in an area that is small enough for you to interact with them, but not so small that they feel trapped. And that's a fine line. That's it could be a pen. I put my kitten fosters, I start them out in a pop-up pen, and they make a pretty good size one. It's over 50 inches in diameter. I like to use a big one. So they have, separate litter area and the food can be on the other side and that kind of thing. But then they're a captive audience. And I want them to be a captive audience, because if I put them in a closet, they're going to run from me and hide and dive under things. And then just getting them out can be, very traumatic. For adult cats, I like to use the 3-tiered kennel. There's a one on Amazon. And again, if you want the link, just email me. I'm happy to send it to you. The one that I like to use is tall. It's on casters, so I can roll it into other spaces of the house and get the cat familiar with other spaces in the house without giving them access to the full house. So I want them to be confined, certainly until I am able to pet them and interact with them. Once I'm able to pet them, then I'm going to give them a little more space. I'm going to let them out of the kennel and put them in my office or the closet or that kind of thing. So I want to start out small while I'm building that initial trust. It's very, very, very important that you feed meals. You do not just free feed dry food. And in fact, I think it's important that we feed our fosters dry food, because even though I don't feed my cat dry food, my foster may eat dry foods. Whoever he gets adopted by may decide they want to feed dry food. So I need him to know that dry food is good too, and he has a variety of experiences, and he just doesn't become locked in on one thing. But we want to feed meals. So I would limit the dry food to an overnight feeding. So I'm going to feed multiple meals of wet canned food a day. And I want to make it sure it's canned food so that they eat it quick and they eat it all in my presence. So I'm going to put it down. And a lot of times, they won't eat while your hand is right there, but you put the meal down and then you close the cage or the pen and you sit back across the room, whatever distance they're comfortable, and you let them eat the meal. And you want to do that at least 4 times a day. And then put down a little dry food so they can have it overnight. But you have to have something good associated with your scary presence. If we don't, it becomes what is called flooding. And if you flood a cat or any animal with persistently whatever it is they're scared of, they will shut down emotionally. They'll stop reacting aggressively because they're just shut down. And that is not at all what we want. We want the cat to always feel like it has choice to participate. That is the only kind way to interact with a scared cat. So something good has to happen every time you come up to that cat's presence. So start with food and then treats. In between your 4 times a day feeding them, you want to feed them treats. So I like to do that. Of course, if you know me, you know my favorite's lick and lap. And if you know why, it's because we've worked with every kind of treat known to cats in shelters. And I guarantee you, this is the most palatable one that will drive them absolutely insanely crazy. So we like lick and lap, and I like to give it because they're afraid of hands. So you start with this nice telescoping back scratcher, and you put the lick and lap on the scratcher and you give it to the cat. I like to use this scratcher because, first of all, the back is flat, so the lick and lap isn't dripping through holes. But then once the lick and lap is gone, I can turn it over and start to pet them. All right. So they're associating the lick and lap with something good, but it's not necessarily my big old scary hand. And then every time I go back to reload it, and I'm putting just little dabs on it because I want to take the opportunity to shorten this every time. The next time I put more on and I shorten it. Next time more on and I shorten it. And once I get all the way here, notice I got my finger out like that the whole time. Then while they're eating the lick and lap, I can start to sneak in pets, right? So something good with every interaction is very, very important. Now we're going to start with some case studies here. And we're going to start with Gogurt, right? This is Chris's foster. And Chris says, we've had her about 4 weeks now. We're able to pet her and she's not aggressive at all. She's just timid around us and doesn't seem to move freely when we're around. We've tried the usual tactics to help her, but she just seems scared still. We had her in a large bathroom for a week and we moved her into a bedroom for a week, and she would just hide during the day. So we moved her back into the bathroom a few days ago. All right, Chris. And then we're going to look at Gogurt's video here. Okay. Okay, here's Miss Gogurt. Can everybody see Gogurt? Good?
Yes.
Okay, great. So here's Gogurt, and in the bathroom, looks like in the bathtub with lots of pillows and things like that. Okay, now Chris, I want to ask you, first of all, it looks like Gogurt has a eye injury. Hold on, Vivian, you want to unmute and tell us about Gogurt? Go back.
I remember Gogurt from the shelter. Gogurt was part of the big hoarding case a couple of months ago.
Good to know.
Yeah, Gogurt, Froggy, that entire group, they were at the shelter for a little over a month. And so Gogurt was always hiding in the corner and didn't really engage, but she didn't have a yellow card, she didn't have a red card, but she was definitely pretty shut down at the shelter.
Okay, good. And Chris, has she got something going on with her eye?
Yeah, they said it's like a scar. She still can see, but it's not, it's not harmful. It doesn't hurt her. It's just I guess there's like a slight scar on the outside of her eye, which is good, so it doesn't impact her vision.
Yeah. The one that I'm fostering is also from a hoarding case. And those guys, in this particular case, I know that he was actually bred in the house, because this man's dad died, and they were, he's trying to trap cats as he can, but his dad died 4 years ago, and this guy's only like a year old. So clearly the cat was bred in the house and has absolutely no experience with human socialization prior to. So these hoarding cats, they do take a little longer. They absolutely take longer. So I would suggest, far as setup goes, if you have a shower curtain on that, I would suggest pulling the shower curtain about halfway closed. I think the bathtub's a good setup for her because she's trying to hide, and we do want to give them a place to hide. So if you pull the shower curtain about halfway over, that gives you a way to still access in there with her, and yet she still feels like she has a way to get out. In fact, you might want to pull the shower curtain, about 6 inches open on the end, so it's not fully against the wall, and then about middle, and then whoops, dropped it on the floor. Do get yourself one of these scratches. Yeah. Does she lets you pet her though?
Yeah, you could pet her. You could pick her up. It's just weird. She's just very kind of shut in, but she does allow pets, and
is she allowing them, or is she leaning into them?
I would say allowing, not leaning in.
Yeah. And I'm afraid I think that's an indication. Well, it's an indication of two things. When cats' reactions to fear, a lot of times are frozen. They just freeze. Yeah. And so a lot of times it's that. And then it can also be that she's shut down. She's not reacting aggressively, which is good, because that might not have ended well at DAS. And so that's good, but she may have had so many people petting her and trying to pet her without pairing that with something good that, that she's kind of in shutdown mode. So what I want you to do is find something she absolutely loves. Try the lick and lap. Try deli turkey. That's another good thing. Something that's just knock your socks off treat.
Right.
I prefer that it's not a crunchy treat because they get filled up too quick with them,
Mhm.
and you want to have as much interaction as possible
Right.
before they get full. So
Mhm.
find something she absolutely loves, set it down in front of her or give it to
Mhm.
her up this. And then as soon as
Mhm.
possible, like we like to put the lick and lap on our finger and
Mhm.
let them take it off our finger and then start luring her towards you.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right.
Because movement towards people is what we want. So we want to
Mhm.
lure her towards people and letting her eat that all along the way to you. And just keep doing that. And
Right.
just that is okay for a while. Then I
Mhm.
also want to see if you can engage her in any kind of prey play. Like
Right.
if you take a ribbon. A lot of
Mhm.
those hoarding cats have never been around toys. And the
Right.
normal wand toys with the big toys on the bottom,
Yeah.
the feathers can be real scary and they just
Mhm.
won't react. So I like to
Right.
use like a ribbon, like a little,
Yep.
a
From
thin,
like a wrapping paper. Yep. For
yep.
presents or
And
yep.
then,
Okay.
and
That
then
makes
just
sense.
kind of put it in
Mhm.
front of her. If she's in the bathtub, just kind of put it in front of her and then
Mhm.
pull it over the edge of the bathtub. You be
Mhm.
a ways away to where it disappears over the edge
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
watch her reaction. Usually once it disappears, they get real curious and they kind of pop up and look. And so it may
Right.
take you a bit to
Sure.
engage her in that, but get creative.
Mhm.
Because once she feels comfortable moving after any kind of simulated prey,
Sure.
she's going to feel more comfortable walking around the
Mhm.
rim. The other thing I would do is catnip. Now, I like
Yep.
to use only, maybe 80% of cats respond to catnip, maybe less.
Mhm.
So I like to use the catnip silver vine blend. In fact,
Mhm.
I have a custom blend made that's catnip, silver vine, and valerian root that I sell. It's called
Mhm.
Meowza, and it's on my
Okay.
site.
Okay.
Because that it actually just has a little more oomph to it than regular
Mhm.
catnip. And so try that. Put that where she is and see if
Sure.
she responds to it.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
Make sure that you are either playing relaxing music in there for her.
Mm,
There's
okay.
a guy called Joshua Leeds, Leeds, and he
Mhm.
makes the calming cat music, and you can
Yeah.
download the tracks. So if you can, hook to it, or you can even Pandora has relaxing
Sure.
cat music, YouTube, stuff like that. So put a little speaker in there and just
Mhm.
make
Okay.
sure it's very relaxing. Sometimes there's bird
Mhm.
sounds. Just keep her, as calm as possible. All of these cats, I think, benefit from a little gabapentin if the vet's willing to do that, and you can put it in the food.
Mm,
That seems to help to, just take the edge off a little bit
mhm.
too.
Okay.
So and then anytime she's out, as you let her out into bigger spaces, continue with all of that. You do want
Mhm.
to perfect that and make sure you're having every interaction positive, that she feels comfortable moving towards you before before you open up that space.
Mhm.
Those hoarding cats are hard. They take longer. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's been a challenge. We've fostered tons of cats, and this one's definitely that's why I'm here. Just to get some tips because it'll just be helpful to, it's not going to happen overnight, but like to your point, like this stuff's very helpful. So I will start doing that.
the other thing about the hoarding cats, do you have a cat of your own, other cats in the
We
house?
have three. Yeah, we have three cats and a dog.
And has she met them yet?
No, not yet. No, and we
Okay.
actually have another foster. So, but yeah, we bring the foster when my wife cleans, does the morning stuff with the litter box and stuff. The other foster kind of goes in the bathroom, and so yeah, she has seen some of our other cats. Yes,
And what's been her reaction to them?
good, like chill, like nothing.
Okay,
I don't
good.
think any hissing. Yeah, nothing. Not friendly and rubbing each other, but just very nothing bad.
Usually the hoarding cats love other cats and
Mm,
do a lot better when you've got them with another cat. Like my
sure.
foster, as soon as I
Mhm,
had him in the tall cage, and then I let my cat,
mhm,
once he kind of got settled in, I let my cat come in to meet him and do a little slow introduction. And then once I
mhm,
let him out and let the two of them play, I mean, they are inseparable. And he's much more comfortable with my cat than he is
mhm,
me. But they learn from watching other cats.
mhm,
So he
right.
watches my cat, what and he mimics it.
Mm,
So when
yeah,
he sees, he didn't know like how to rub legs. He didn't know
right.
people
Mhm,
were to be scented. And so he watched my cat scenting me, and then he tried it, but he would do it like 2 feet away. So he'd come and
right.
try to rub 2 feet, and
Right.
then he's gotten closer and closer. And now he comes and rubs on
Mhm,
me because he's watching what happens with my cat. My cat, when I've been gone and I come back in, he does a little somersault and then stretches out and wants to
yeah.
rub his belly. Well, now this little guy is starting to do it. He's like, okay, I
Mm,
think I'm supposed to do that. And so
right.
if you have another cat and can
Yeah.
safely do that may help a lot, and you may see it go faster.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's, I mean, like, yeah, I agree. We'll, make that, you know, get the other guy in there at least once a day and, for exposure,
Yeah. And that's the thing too, when you open up the space for her, try to have it be a space where another cat can live in there with her.
Right. Yeah. No,
You
that
know,
makes sense.
so
Yeah. Yep. No, this is all very helpful. I appreciate it.
good.
Definitely. I think those implementing that, what you suggested will definitely help. Just got to be patient, and we are. So,
Good. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's the number one thing we need here
right.
with these guys is absolute patience, right?
Yes.
Total patience. So thank you for fostering her. And
No, thank you. No, that's great. No, I appreciate the insight. It's definitely helpful. Thank you.
yeah, and thank you, Dallas Pets Alive, for rescuing her from DAS. That's great. All right, let's take a look at Miss Liz here. I want to start with some photos of Liz so we can look at, you can see Liz's body posture here, right? Definitely a CSS3. She's in that classic loaf position, tucked up, small as she can get, on her feet. Ears are forward, whiskers are forward, eyes are dilated a little. It might be partially because she's in the dark, but it's probably also stress. And then, hold on, what the heck is this? I just launched something that was not cat related. And here is Miss Liz in her cave. Now I want to talk about caves for a second. In fact, let's look at the cave video and then we'll talk about cat caves. There we go. So here she is in her cave, and it looks like Amanda has put a treat in there, and Amanda's sitting back and letting her eat the treats. And yes, it's good that we give these cats a place to hide, but again, it's very important that they have a way to escape. So I wish I had the link. I didn't think about this link, but there is a company that makes a square cat cave that's open on both sides. It's open in the front and the sides. So the cat has a choice to participate. It's extremely important that they get to choose whether they participate. They are insecure about the environment and the surroundings and people, and they want to carve out territory. Well, if you give them a cave, a one entrance cave, that's going to become a very intense territory. And so when we come in there at them to work with them, it's very invasive and they feel trapped and they don't have a way out. So find something that's got 2 escape routes, or take a cardboard box and tear the flaps off. Because at least when they're in the box, they can hide. Don't make it too deep. Probably, 6 inches or so deep is ideal. But then they can also hop out and go away if it gets too scary. We always want them to choose to participate with us. And now I'm going to show you her setup here.
Hello.
And this is her closet, and you can see her laying there, and she doesn't jump up and bolt out of the room, which is good. That's good. She looks more relaxed than the original photos. So I'm assuming, I don't know what order these are in, but I'm assuming, yeah, see, you're getting slow blinks. Anytime cats slow blink to us, that's a really good indication that they trust us. Cats will stare, like not blink, like stare, eyes open, never blink at you when they're scared and when they think a confrontation might be happening. So when the cat is blinking back at you, that's a really good sign. Take that as a good sign. It's also a really good sign when they start to scent the area that you have them in. As soon as you see them rubbing and scenting on things, then we know that that's a relaxed, I feel relaxed enough to try to make this environment smell like me. Now you see Liz is getting up. We got great body language here. She's super body language. She's like, I'm going to come over to you. I'm stretching. I'm standing. I'm not too scared. You can see a little bit of kneading going on there. Tails up. Anytime they get up and stretch around you, I'm relaxed enough to stretch. That's also a good sign.
Yes.
And she's chirping at you. That's good when they're vocal. And of course, she's giving her something great. Try putting it on your finger, though, when you give this. So this is great. This is that's very, very, very good progress. And then here's another good another really good. She's sitting in there and putting treats on her leg to lure her up onto her. And that's a great thing too. We want to always, like I said, when you're giving them the treat, lure them towards you. And this is a great example of that. She's like, I'm not quite comfortable, but see how the back raises too? She's doing that arch back like cats do when you're petting them and they're leaning into pets. So she's kind of mock doing that. So I think that's great signals there. And then this is really cute. This is under the door. So this is a camera that she has, and her cat is on the other side of the door, and they're playing footsies under the door. See the foot come in? And she's very, very relaxed in this setting when you're not around. You can see the difference in the body posture, laying completely on the side, legs straight out, as opposed to just kind of being in that pensive little, that I'm not sure I'm going to stay in a loaf mode. And then I have one more of these to share with you, because this looks like success to me. This looks like not a shy cat anymore to me right here. She's out. See, she's scenting the door, rubbing up against that door. They have scent glands in their sides of their face and all along their flanks. So she's scenting the door. She's coming right up to you. She's like, what's that phone thing? Making little air biscuits. She's making the gesture to even scent you. She's doing awesome here. Looking at you, making eye contact, talking with you, and comfortable enough to eat in front of you. That's excellent. Good job. Now, Amanda, I want you to tell us, fill in everything I didn't see there.
So she's not using her cave barely anymore. So like she feels comfortable enough to be outside and yeah, making her way to the bathroom, to the closet, to the other room, trying to really interact with Salem. And now what I did is like Sarah came here to take pictures of Salem and she said maybe they want to interact, and she was like so right, like I'm putting him on the harness and taking him inside, and she tries so badly to approach him. He's a little bit like scared, well, not scared, I think he is more like territorial, but she's really trying to interact. So she's doing so much better. I think even like we see the improvements, but now it's, yeah, she comes around, she tries to, I don't pet her a lot yet, unless I have the treats, because she doesn't feel like, and I don't know if I should force, but I think she's doing so great. I don't want to like to force her to be, but with the scratchers, she really like, yeah, she gives it all. So like she loves the scratching and so on, but the scratcher, but I don't want to pet a lot yet, but she's doing really, really great. And he goes like as soon as he likes her food as well, so I have to take it off. I never know if it's about the food or if he wants to interact, but as soon as I go the direction she is, he's there to ready to go inside. So
That's good. And you brought up two things. Putting him on the harness and leash is super important because it is his territory and she is the invader. And so he is more likely to be the aggressor, and keeping that interaction where nothing bad happens between them is going to really help. So keeping him on that harness and leash when you do those introductions is really important. We have Dallas Pets Alive sponsored another webinar on how to introduce cats. So if you're going to try to introduce some of your shy fosters or any foster to your cats, watch that, because that process is the same, whether it's a foster or whether it's a cat you're going to keep. And definitely controlling those interactions, no matter who's the aggressor, so that nothing bad happens, really helps a lot. And then you mentioned, petting and not wanting to pet too much. I think that's a very important point. We humans tend to think that, affection and interaction includes physical contact. We like to hug one another and we touch one another, and that's a show of affection. Not necessarily in cat world. In a cat world, if they like you, they will rub against you. They want you to smell like them. That's how they claim you, all right? You're mine. You smell like me now. So if you are petting, make sure that you always start your petting here so that you begin by scenting yourself like them. Then you become less scary, right? You're more familiar. And that's what they would do anyway. So I would pet here, try to stay collar up. And you're absolutely right. Pet for maybe 5 seconds, 4 seconds, and stop. And always then present your hand and give the cat the opportunity to come interact with you. We always want them to be initiating contact if possible, because again, that tells them they're in control. They have the choice to participate in this or not. So that's a very good point you brought up, that we want to keep that physical contact somewhat limited so that they're not overwhelmed by it. And don't touch them anywhere they're not comfortable. A lot of cats aren't comfortable being pet down the back. Honor and respect that. We're not going to make them trust us. We're not going to make them love us. They are going to learn by association that they can trust us and want to love us because they want to, not because we're making them. That's very important difference between not flooding that experience. And I want to show you, did you have any more questions, Amanda, before I go to next one?
No, I think that's it. I think just to add, like my husband used to go inside and she was always hissing, like she's doing everything with me. And now she's not doing anymore. Like she's not trying to approach a lot, but like she's not like trying to avoid, which we also consider it's a good sign that she's getting used with not only me, but other people. So
no, I think it's a very, very good sign. And I think that's another good point. We want, just like kittens in that social development window, we want these cats to have as much exposure to different kinds of people so that they learn to trust everyone, not just us. It's very important that you have a variety of people coming in with the treats and doing the same thing you're doing. It's hard to get our spouses and significant others to participate. I have to ask Dewey, okay, pet him. Look, he's rubbing against you. He wants you to reach, put your hand down, pet him. So sometimes you have to encourage them too. But clearly you made excellent progress with her. I think she's pretty much ready.
That's great. No, thank you so much. I get Janae and Caitlin heard a lot about it was my first time, so I wasn't sure if she was making progress. So thank you so much for bringing this back. And we will have patience. Take the time it takes, but I'm so happy I feel she's feeling more comfortable. So this is what matters in the end. So thank you so much for the tips.
Good job. Very, very good job. Now I have another cat I can show you that actually was routed, a working cat, a little more aggressive, shy foster, or we can just take questions and answers at this point. What would you guys like to do? You can unmute yourselves and chime in. What would you like to do? Or put it in chat, or?
I'll say, I think it's interesting. I assumed that shy was going to be the more reserved and not sort of that whole spectrum of shy in quotation marks. So I would love to see a different form of shy cat and how you worked with it.
Okay, we'll do that. Let's look. This little cat, if you are with Albuquerque, you might recognize this cat. This cat is Rascal, and Rascal was actually in our Feline Right at Home, our behavior modification program. She was in a group room by herself, and she's a little more confident, but she's scared, right? So really, the definition of shy is I'm scared. I'm scared in this social situation. But again, how cats manifest that fear is different from one to the other. So this girl, if you'd walk in the group room and you'd stand still, she was kind of okay. She'd growl and grumble and hiss. And if you moved, well, she would swat at your feet. And she'd take treats, sort of, but again, if you move too fast, she'd swat because she'd get scared. I also think it's important to remember that hiss means scared. So this girl wasn't making much progress in the behavior modification program. She had kind of plateaued out and didn't really know what else to do. So we routed her working, and I placed her in a working situation with a lady that has a barn, and you'll see she's in a barn. And this lady's very good at protecting the cats. So she's got a barn, and she's building a big outdoor catio onto the barn. So she won't really be free roaming. She'll be a protected cat. So she's given her treats. Can you hear her growling?
This is the behavior when I stop feeding her. And then sometimes even more violent. If I try to gently move around her to get out the door, she's like really mad. Do you like me to make you some more? I'm afraid that if I let her out of here someday, she's gonna just attack me. I mean, is this her way of asking for food?
Okay. And you heard her talking, right? You heard the lady talking in there. So, you know, she was, I had gotten her working cats before that she unfortunately lost, which is why she's keeping this one in this time. And she'd never had one that was confidently aggressive. You know, all the other working cats were like, just leave me alone. And, you know, like feral cats are. Feral cats are more shut down. I'm going to avoid conflict as opposed to cats like this. So she did let her out. And this is what it looks like. So she let her out and gave her more space. You notice the big leather gloves she's wearing as she is offering this cat treats. And the cat's like, I'm not sure. But look, scenting her, that's good. Right about this point, I would be really worried I was going to have a bite on the underside of my thigh if I was her. And she's going back to her kennel and scenting. See how she's rubbing against everything?
Sabbath, Black Sabbath, motherfucking rocker. Black Sabbath.
See, and comes over. She's like, okay, I think maybe I'll try it. And look, ears start to go back. She's like, okay, not sure. And so at this point, she is, she's doing all the things we're talking about, right? She's associating, you know, good things with herself and being, you know, careful not to get, not to get bit, which is very, very important here. And she's making good progress with her. She's, you know, she's still where she says she has to be careful moving around there. If she moves too fast, the cat will react aggressively. And it is when cats react aggressively, it's usually it's defensive aggression. They're not mad at us. They're not, you know, angry. They're not trying to get back. They're not attacking us. They're scared. They're very, very fearful and scared of what's going on. Hiss means I'm afraid. And so, you know, understand that. And again, we want to always work with them just this side of behavior threshold. So just this side of them losing it. So if you do something and you notice, you know, you're petting too long and the cat turns around and swats, or the cat hisses or starts to recoil, just stop there. We don't want our interaction to be unpleasant. However, at the same time, these cats also have to be challenged to move beyond their comfort zone. That's why it's so very important that you find an extremely high value treat that your cat will like. This is why I use the Lick and Lap in the shelter. It's now coming in this little 4-pack box too, which is great. It's low calorie, it's high in taurine, it's meat, you know, that kind of thing. So really, really good. You got to remember that treats are also, you know, that calories have to take into consideration with their diet. So picking something low cal, but still really, really great to the cat matters. So we need to have something so delicious that they're willing to move beyond their comfort zone to take it. So that's super, super important. Now, questions? Anybody got questions or? Any questions? With kittens, by the way, with kittens, it's all the same thing, except that I would recommend you burrito the kittens, put a towel over its head, wrap it up real good, hold it, and then feed it lick and lap off your finger if it doesn't. Sometimes kittens mistake fingers for food, so you may have to stick with like a popsicle stick or something like that. I like to put the lick and lap in a little dish, and then with the popsicle stick, feed it to the kitten. But you want to be holding the kitten and then petting the kitten while it's eating. So you want to get to that touch plus treat, we call it, as soon as possible, so that they're associating touch. And then you want to eventually, you want to graduate to not using the towel as soon as you can. Pick them up with the towel and then relax the towel. So again, they're choosing to be on your lap because that's where the great things happen. So it's the same process, just a little more invasive with the kittens because they're in that sensitive development period. And we want to make sure we're making that impression of, look, I'm holding you. Yes, it's scary, but only good things are happening. So get over it. And they do pretty quickly. Whereas adult cats, we're usually dealing with some past trauma that would be flooding, and it's not in the kittens. Questions?
I have one quick question on kittens. I know like the critical age is of course before 8 weeks, but where would you say is the kind of cutoff between how you can treat them like a kitten versus when you need to approach them a little more like an adult?
It's usually at about 12 weeks, between 8 and 12 weeks. At 8 weeks, that socialization window begins to close. At 12 weeks, it's pretty much fully closed. So whatever they've been exposed to, that's what you got at that point. And they're also getting, they're getting bigger. They're 4 months old. So they're a little harder to contain if they're really scared. So I'd say 12 weeks. 12 weeks, I'd start treating them like the adult cats. And prior to that, in that window, 9 to 12, you just kind of gotta, if it's a smaller kitten, I would probably burrito it. If it's larger, I would probably treat it more like an adult.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
I have a question if you have time.
Absolutely. I got as much time as you ladies have.
I was wondering, so our foster kitten is a scaredy cat. She's around, 5 months old now, and she's made a lot of progress in terms of feeling comfortable approaching me. She'll come up and like want to lay on my lap and be pet, and she purrs. What I would like to make improvements on with her is her skittishness. So if she hears like a noise, she gets startled really easily and will like launch off of me and actually scratch me pretty deep just because she gets scared. So I was wondering if you had any recommendations on how to improve kind of the skittishness of a cat.
Yeah, so typically we would do what's called gradual desensitization. So again, we're pairing whatever that is that's making them skittish, if they're noise reactive or somebody walking in the room or that kind of thing. So what we try to do is like, let's say, for instance, it's the hair dryer. So in an ideal example, you would be feeding, I'd be giving them the lick and lap, and I'd have the hair dryer in the other room on low and give them lick and lap and lick and lap. And then the next session, you would turn the hair dryer on medium and more like, and so you gradually increase the intensity of the thing that is scaring them while you're pairing that with something absolutely wonderful. And that will desensitize them to those scary things. Now, a lot of times we don't, they're scared of everything. And so we don't really have a one thing. And a lot of times it's because they've had a lot of trauma in the past. Or it could be that they're just not quite settled into that environment yet. And Dar asked if I could repeat the 3x3. And this is a really good opportunity too, because it's 3 days before they come out of shell shock, 3 weeks before they actually get used to the sounds and the routines and the people in the environment, and they start to kind of let down their guard. And then it's a full 3 months before they're actually kind of fully comfortable and start to show you who they really are. And again, all of that is lengthened if you've got a cat that has had trauma. So if you haven't had her for 3 months, this could just be a settling in thing. My foster that came from the hoarding case is very, very, very nervous in new situations. So he'll let me pet him. He even leans into pets and wants pets if he's in certain spots. If he is laying in a new spot where I've never pet him before and I reach out to pet him, he just freaks out. He's like, wait a minute, you haven't touched me here before. So when I recognize that, now I go out of my way to pet him whenever I see him in a new space so that he begins to learn petting's okay no matter where you are. But because of his trauma, he may always be a skittish cat. In fact, he's very likely to always be a skittish cat. So give her time. And if you can, it takes somebody to help you. If you can make sure that you're pairing something good with those situations that cause them stress, that will help to desensitize them to it.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
Good. Anybody else? More questions? You good? Okay.
I have one last, Molly, if I may.
Sure.
Some of, like, you mentioned the working cats, and this is being like when I started with Liz. Like, okay, when do we know, like, we had enough, like she's 2 years old, and like how much time normally do we wait to see, okay, she can be like adopted or like be an indoor cat, sorry. Is there like a time or like some kind of is just by your feeling, or is it something they show?
Well, to answer that, in a shelter setting, they have to put time limits on resources applied because it's a shelter and kennels are filling up and there's running out of space. And so, and warehousing cats is what it's called when they sit around shelters for too long, is not quality of life for a cat. So at some point, you have to say the cat's not making progress in the resources we're applying, and we want to have a live outcome. And so maybe the only live outcome, if the cat can't be pet and adopted by somebody and it's doesn't have any foster opportunities, and the only live outcome is working cat, then sometimes that's better. So age shelters different in the amount of time that they give cats in programs like that before they make that routing decision. Personally, I have seen people, I am not in support of people really trying to tame feral community cats, because we have so many cats sitting in shelters that were owned, that go get one of those and tame those. Our community cats are community cats, and they're doing just fine outside, and they're probably happier, quite frankly. So, leave them out there unless they're ill or injured. But, I've seen people take cats off the streets that probably have never had any human socialization, and it takes 2 years before the cat is actually, moving comfortably around the house and will even let them pet them. So really, that's a personal question of how much time, you as an organization or you as an individual are willing to put into the project cat, really.
Okay, so there is no limit. Like because and my concern was that, like, okay, what if she would be happier outside? So like, it's really with her well-being. But yeah, at the same time, I don't think she's depressed or anything. I wouldn't know. but yeah, I think it's fine. Like I'm just like concerned with, okay, what if she would be like
Well, are you
happier?
talking about Liz that we saw?
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
no, that cat's ready to be adopted. She's fine. No, she's nowhere.
Great.
I would say a cat would need to be at a CSS 5 or 6, continuously before you'd even consider that. They'd need to be like swatting and biting and lunging at you as you stick your hand in there, and yeah, I nowhere near is Liz would even be remotely consider working cat material.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Very clear. I was
Yeah.
like, before I was, okay, am I missing? But yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Clear,
no.
straight to the point.
Now, Rascal, Rascal, again, you couldn't, if somebody had wanted to adopt her and walked into that group room and reached down to pet her, they'd have been bleeding. And so it's hard to, and in the Albuquerque shelter, we give them 4 weeks in the behavior modification program and a group room and sometimes gabapentin. But we expect progress in a month. And if they haven't made progress in a month and they're plateauing and they're still reacting aggressively, then they're routed working.
Thank you.
Sure.
Sorry, I know this is late, but I have one question.
Sure.
So my cat Winks, I had her for 2 months right now. She is doing great. Like if I sit still, she will come to me and sit next to me, for the treat and canned food. But if I like stand up and moving around the room, or like she'll be scared and run away. And if I look at her and walk to her, she'll be very scared and maybe like a level 5 scared and will hissing at me and won't eat any treat. So if there's any recommendations.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. No, that's good. So it sounds like she's probably had some past trauma or just lack of experience around humans, because as you are bigger, you're scarier, right? When you're smaller and down on her level, you're less scary. So we teach something called considerate approach in a shelter, because, again, a cat's in a little box and we're coming in their space and it can get very scary. So we turn to the side, so we look smaller and we don't stare at them, because staring between cats is a confrontational gesture. So we kind of look out the side of our eyes, turn to the side, and we slow blink to them so that they know that those are all friendly cat gestures. So what I would do with her is if she'll come up to you and let you give her treats while you're sitting, keep doing that. Again, pick a treat, because the sessions tend to be long with what I'm getting ready to tell you. Pick a treat that you can have a very small amount, like something like the lick and lap, where you can just dab a tiny bit and then give treat tiny bit more, so she doesn't get too full. As soon as they start to get full, they get less brave, because they're like, nope, not worth it. I'm full. Never mind. I'm going to go back to being scared. So start being on the ground and then slowly move to where you're getting up on a knee, and then keep giving her treats while you're there, and then be kneeling and give her treats. So it's a way of gradual desensitization with your body posture and size. So give her treats on your knee, try to lure her towards you while you're on your knees, and then maybe squatting, and then kind of in a crouch, and then slowly get her used to you standing up while you're giving her a treat. You may need to get something like this that's really long so that you can stand and give her the treat. Because a lot of times when we bend over into their face with the hands coming at them and bending over, that can be real scary too. So she may have to start when you're standing with an extension pole, and then again shortening that so that the crouching becomes familiar. So it's just a long, slow, very gradual desensitization process, right? I'm getting her used to me being seated, then kneeling, and then maybe up on a knee, one leg up on a knee, and then a little bit up. And it's gradual desensitization. It's called other things as well, like, methodical desensitization. I like to call it gradual desensitization because we are slowly increasing that thing that they're afraid of, just in little tiny increments while we're pairing that with something wonderful. Now, if you get to, like, let's say you're in a crouched position, she did okay on knees, and then and she's totally freaking out, then you got to back up and go slower. That's just an indication to go slower. You can also toss a treat, which means you have to use the hard treats. The same company makes a product called Purr Sticks. It's like a little beef stick, and boy, are they stinky, which is probably why the cats like them so much. You got to wash your hands after messing with them. But I pinch off just a little bit and then toss it, and then toss it a little closer and a little closer. So you're luring her towards you with the tossed treat. But just go slow, have patience, and do it in little incremental steps.
Got it. Thank you very much. It's very useful.
Sure. Thank you. Good luck with her. I think she'll be fine. Anybody else?
Yeah, Molly, I had a question. I've had a couple of cats that I fostered and for circumstances had to go back to a shelter. And I was wondering what your opinion is on like visiting them, if that's like reassuring to them or if they kind of get hurt by that.
No, absolutely. I think they love things that are familiar. So going to visit them in a scary place, because let's face it, even for the most confident cat, the shelter is a scary place. So absolutely visiting them helps because you're familiar. And our attachment system works a little differently than a cat's attachment system. They do have one, however. But yeah, definitely visiting them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And work with all the fraidy cats while you're there too, Ashley. Anybody else got anything? Are you ready to go enjoy the rest of your weekend? Okay, that sounds like weekend. I'll take that silence as weekend. Thank you. Thank you so much for fostering and for being here today, and all the great questions and all the great examples you sent in. And hopefully we can do this again. Send in videos and we can do this as often as you want.
This was so awesome. I learned so much, and I'm so grateful for you, Molly. Thank you from Dallas Pets Alive. And Caitlin wanted me to tell you thank you too. She just had to hop off.
Oh, good. Good.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Bye-bye.